Oh my god, what have I done? Hey, we're John and Sam. Join us as we build our first overlanding vehicle and start our travels around the world in a Land Rover Defender. So I'm going to go through and remove the dashboard. This is a 2012 Land Rover Defender Puma model, I suppose you could call it. It's a 2.2 diesel. This model is the XS spec, whatever that means, and it does have air conditioning, heated seats, and sort of a few extra bits like that. I need to get behind there to do some work, so I'm going to go show you how to remove the dashboard in a Puma. Why did I say that twice? Okay, I've chosen to remove the seats because I'm doing some extra work, and you don't have to do this, but I think it does give a little bit more room, but it's by no means required. So let's get started. First we're going to remove the center console. So we've got a Torx screw here and here. Remove those two screws and then this will unclip. After you remove these two screws, just give the top of the console just a good little yank. It will just pop out, as it's just held on by clips. So along the top of the dashboard, you got a screw here in the middle and on the edge, and those are Torx. Those ones are a T30 Torx screw. Only the screw here can be a little awkward because of the windscreen, so it pays to have a little attachment like this so you can put on the end of your screwdriver so you can get a little bit of an angle through. Two screws here and here on top of the dial console can be removed. I've removed the steering wheel just so it's a little bit easier access. I do have a removable steering wheel anyway, so it does make it a bit simpler. But there is a screw here and here just below the gauges. If you remove those two, this little panel comes out and enables you to get two more screws, and you can take these gauges off. On the driver's side there are two screws, 1, 2, and underneath, let me just put some light on here, underneath, so under the speaker here, you've got 1, 2 and 3 just behind this fuse panel. Those are, what are they? Those are Torx T20, so this guy here, focus, no. Anyway, there are T20 Torx, so 1, 2, 3, those 5 can come out. And then on the passenger side, you've got the same. There's a bolt there, there's a bolt there, there's a bolt there, and under there. I don't know if you can see because there's not a lot of light. The hand grab here, there are two big screws in here, so those need to come out. What I'm doing here is just removing the section of carpet that covers the gearbox sort of tunnel in order to get the bottom half of the dash out. The gear sticks, the sleeves that go over them need to be removed, and as you can see in a minute, there is a box that is bolted down, which also needs to come out. There are about 4 or 5 screws on each side of this which need to come out. I've taken this big rubber sort of a thing out from the gear stick box, and what we're left with is this plastic thing, which has got some sort of like a rubber seal on it anyway, shielding the cabin from sort of underneath the vehicle. To get the dashboard out, I'm going to have to remove this, because this piece of plastic here is all one piece, it's all moulded, and I can't get the dashboard any further forward without removing this piece here. I think I might have to take the handbrake off so I can remove this properly. I'm a little bit reluctant to do that because where the car's parked at the moment, I'd rather have the handbrake switched on. However, it's something that I might need to do in order to get the dashboard off properly. So you can see here's the handle which I removed. You can see straight into the gearbox from here, and here's the piece that came out, so that was sitting over the gearbox, and it's got this thick rubber. Have to take off the steering wheel boss as well, but all of this moulding, all of this is one piece I've discovered. All here, this lower section which contains a speaker, it's all one piece. Trying to pull this off, this steering wheel where this windscreen wiper stalks and stuff are also now holding it back. So I'm going to have to take this off. So there is 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. They have loosened this top panel. There's another couple of screws under here which I'm going to release, and hopefully this section will come out, which will enable me to pull the dash a little more forward. I'm starting to get screws and nuts and bolts and stuff all over the place, and the worst thing to happen, you can see here, I know exactly where these are going, but in a few days time when I go to put it all back together, I may forget. So one thing I try and do where possible is when I've taken something apart, I put the screws back inside the holes where they came from. That way I don't lose them and I know exactly where they've come from, if I haven't forgotten already. This section, this piece with the dials and the gauges in them, has to come out with 2 screws here, here and here that they join together, and then this piece comes off like so. So I've got the top part off, the bottom part wants to come off, except I'm worried about the main headlight stalk here. When I pull that down, it's putting a lot of this gasket, this dust gasket is not sort of moving, so, and it's moving the stalk with it, and I'm a bit worried if I put too much pressure on it, it's going to snap. So a little bit more work on that piece. So in order to get the dashboard off properly, these switches, this whole thing here has to come off. So the steering wheel is going to have to come off, the steering wheel boss rather. I've got here a 22mm socket. Going to take that nut off, and then that way the boss can come off and this component can come off. The wheels aren't pointing exactly straight, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the position of the boss against something, so when I put the boss back on, it's in exactly the right place, because there are dozens of little splines that these fit on, and if I don't refit the boss to exactly the right splines that it came off, then when I'm driving, the steering wheel might be slightly off, which is just horrible to drive with. You know, you want the steering wheel nice and straight as you're driving straight. If it's kind of on a little bit of an angle and you're driving straight, then it's just really annoying. So that way I can get the splines exactly where they were to start with. You can see now I've marked on the steering wheel boss and on this sort of switch hub here, I've marked with some duct tape, and I line up exactly, I don't know if it shows on the camera, but these 2 pieces of tape line up. So when I put the boss back on, then I know where it's lined up. Right, so this nut has to come off, and then I can take the steering wheel boss off. So to get the steering wheel off, as I said before, got to take this centre nut off, and then the hub will come straight back out. Steering wheel and steering wheel boss is off now, and so now it's just a matter of just loosening up this little screw here, and then this will come free. I'll just undo these plugs, this will come free. So if I was just to remove that, you can see this little spline here, almost like gearing, and the same is on the boss, but you can see how small they are. You can see how small they are. Is that in focus? Focus. Anyway, and if I just move one, if I reapply it and it's slightly over, then the steering wheel's just not going to be straight. Here I'm just removing the speakers, unscrewing them and unplugging them. They need to come out. You can also see I've removed the dashboard, the center console at the moment. These have got numerous plugs on the back of them. They're all keyed, so it's not too much trouble when you're putting it all back. You can't really get the wrong plug in the wrong place, so don't worry too much about that. To remove these little tweeters isn't just spade connectors like on normal speakers. Just reach in behind, pop it up, and then you can release the connector here, and do the same on the other side. Undo this console here. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. This is for the air conditioning cables and stuff. You don't want that to come off. Both front doors must be open for the dash to come out, otherwise it's not going anywhere. Oh my god, what have I done? Thanks for watching. This was the first time I've removed the dashboard, so it was a little bit of trial and error for me as well. Leave some comments below. After you've done that, literally give it a good yank and it will come out. No way. I lie. Just fucking move. On the right spline that it come off, on exactly the right and if I don't